Now that we have all of our full auto fire set up in our weapon full class, what I want to do is I want to take our weapon semi code and move it over to our weapon base.cpp to simplify how we actually fire in semi-auto. So this is going to be a big help. So what we're going to do here is let's go to our weapon base and go to our fire. We're going to pretty much start from here. So after we subtract from the ammo, we're going to go to our weapon semi. We're going to copy everything in here and move it into weapon base.cpp, just like that, and remove the return true at the end. Now it's asking us to include NaziZombie.h, so we can use our zombie base class. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to move it up where it's supposed to be. We're going to include NaziZombie, zombie base.h. And because I like to do it, I just include the word at war, then the section. So public, then the rest of the path. That's just kind of my own little my way. Then we want to remove the super because we no longer need that. But we need to look at how we're doing this. So what we want to do is remove this if statement and wrap it with this one. So if our current magazine ammo is greater than 0, we subtract from the ammo in the magazine and we play all of our effects. We perform the hit, we pass the hit results to the server, and so on. And because everything is valid, we have ammo, we return true. Because if we don't have ammo, we return false. So we are set up there. Now we need to move to our server fire. So I'm going to actually remove all this from our fire function in our weapon semi and just call super fire and pass in shooting player just to keep it working. Let's go to our server fire and do the exact same thing, copy it all. Go to weapon base.cpp, go down here, remove the super version of it, and remove this if statement, and wrap it in braces. And everything's good to go there. Now let's do our multi-fire. So back to weapon semi, copy everything in our multi-fire, paste it on in, and that's good to go. So now we can go to our weapon semi, get rid of our multi-fire, go to our server fire implementation. The only thing we're going to be doing is calling our server fire implementation, well, the super, so that way it calls our function in the weapon base. So it's going to be calling this function here when we call super, or this line here. So it's pretty much making a callback to its parent class. That's all it's doing. So we no longer need our multi-fire. We can remove that. We're pretty much good to go. And this is how simplified it made our weapon semi class, because it's all in our weapon base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and compile and confirm that everything is good to go. Meant to move that zombie spawn out of the way again, but oh well. And yeah, once this is confirmed to be working, we will move on to our weapon full class and perform essentially the exact same thing. All right, so weapon fire must return a value, weapon semi, line 32. What we're going to do is we're going to return our super function. So it's going to return the value based off of, well, what that function returns. So now we can go ahead and launch the editor again. Alrighty, wait for the good old hang up, and then we're going to go ahead and select a different class for our weapon. So we're going to use I guess we'll just use the 1911 to keep it simple. So blueprint classes, player, our Nazi zombie character. Select the 1911, compile, save, and let's just check everything out. Whoops, I'm going to go to 2 clients and new editor window. Make sure it's all good. So let's test with the server. So I just realized I needed to change up something. Okay, so it's killing the zombies. I'm going to move the zombie spawn out of the way. Where the heck am I? because that's really not needed anymore. Because we're just checking, make sure everything's working and replicated. So here we have the client, playing the right animations, playing the reload stuff, playing the sound and everything. Let's check this guy. Did not mean to rotate you. And that's all synced up. So as for damage, good on the server, client. We're good there too. So I guess you can actually see the magazine getting held at certain angles or fields of view. So that's probably gonna need to be, I might have to make some slight changes to the reload animation. But we are pretty much good to go there. The only issue was we were not playing the animation kind of correctly. So if we recall back in our Nazi zombie character.cpp, go to our on fire. Well, we can look at our reload. What we were doing is if we could reload, we would play the reload animation on our hands. Well, for the arms on our character. In a previous video, we've removed doing the same exact thing, but for our fire function, we put that inside the weapon class, like we did here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to copy this whole portion from the weapon full, go to weapon base, go to our fire, and above everything, paste that right on in. And we can go ahead and compile it. Now that should allow us to actually play the recoil animations and that kind of thing directly from our fire function. Later on, we're going to be doing the exact same thing for the reload, but this is just a priority right now. Let's give it another try. Get the good old hang up again. That's annoying. Pretty much all we're testing is to make sure we actually do the animations. So we do for our fire. So that's good. We should also be seeing this here as well. Actually, I just realized we shouldn't because we're playing it for our third person animation in our weapon base, which is what we want. So when we were doing it in our first person animations here in our play weapon effects, that was for testing. So I want to leave this the same until we get our semi-auto set up. And then we will convert this back to being, well, to use our third person mesh and all that kind of stuff. So whenever I finish the animations for our third person guy, there would be good to go. So let's see, how long? 8 minutes? I'll go ahead and, actually we can continue, sorry. So now we go to our fire function. So what we want to do is we'll check else if we're in semi-auto, all we're going to do is do what this is doing. We're going to just simply call fire from our super. So now what we have to do is just do super fire and pass in shooting player. And I spelled that wrong. Like so. That's literally it. So all we have to do now is make a boolean, so to dictate whether or not we're in semi or full auto, and that can honestly be handled from the client. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a check. So here we have our B is firing. We're going to do a U property, edit anywhere. Was I doing any sort of sections or anything? I don't think so. Yes, I was. So category, Nazi zombie settings. We're going to have a boolean, so bool B is full auto. And by default, I want to set this to, I guess, true. So B is full auto equals true. And then we're going to do a simple check. So scroll down to on to our fire. So if we are firing, well, not firing, and we are in full auto, then we will form this. Otherwise, we're going to do just a simple else if walk away. Well, actually, we can probably just leave it as is because our firing booleans should be set up pretty consistent anyways. So we're just gonna leave it as an else. So now we can do a quick little check to make sure everything's good to go. So clients are not turning, well, actually, never mind, doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go ahead and compile. And we should have a simple little checkbox where we can play either in semi or full auto and have it replicate properly. We're not going to actually see I just realized we're not going to see something real quick. Go to weapon base in our fire function. We're multicasting for our third person. We're going to convert this to the first person mesh real quick. So mesh 1P, FPS arms montage, replace all the third person montage with that, and compile. So now I'm just going to restart the editor one more time, but we should see the arms and everything moving properly with, semi-auto fire. And this will make it so easily in the future we can change this to dictate what fire mode we're in, whether or not we're in full or semi. So let's see where we're. Launch this. And I also want to create another Boolean just while I'm at it, while that's loading and doing its thing. I want to change this to B is in full auto instead. I want to change this to B is select fire. Copy that, and by default, I think most of the firearms are going to be select fire, so I want to set B is select fire equals to true, and replace the B is full auto to B is in full auto, like so. I'm just going to save it. So let's give this a quick test. I'm using the wrong gun. Select our full auto test. And I want to open that full auto test as well, because here we have is in full auto. So let's check, make sure we're good to go there. Full auto, good to go. Animations, replicating just fine. And same there. Let's change is full auto, uncheck it, compile save, and try it again. We should be semi-auto only right now. So I'm holding my left mouse, and we are. And same thing there. So now we have select fire, well, semi and full auto, so we can easily change between the two. So what I'm thinking probably in the next video, we'll make it so we can toggle between fire modes. I'm gonna go ahead and just relaunch this guy here using the is in full auto variable, as well as we need to do a check to make sure is select fire is true. So because this is a full auto class, later we're going to be doing some, again, this is kind of, I don't know if we really consider it cheat checking, but we want it to be able to be in, make it so the client can't, force semi or full auto necessarily, but that's not too big of a deal. Screw it. We're going to forget about that for now. So pretty much what we have is our full test, is full auto. Did I not compile? I guess I didn't compile. Anyways, we now have our is select fire boolean. So that'll kind of allow us to force whether or not the gun is select fire and change between it. So if it's true, we can change between semi and full auto. That's literally all it's there for. So I'll let this compile, and I will see you in the next one when we set up the inputs to make ourselves able to choose between semi and full auto in the STG. So, as always, if you want to support me, my Patreon is linked in the description, and if you have any sort of questions or anything like that, the link to my Discord is also in the description where you can join my Discord server and just join the rest. So, I will see you in the next one.